So today I'm going to tell you guys a couple funny scary stories. They are scary stories, but they end up being funny. So let's read this one called The Skeleton in the Closet. I've read this one. This one I personally found super funny. Skeleton in the Closet is a scary, funny story about human remains being found in a building that's being torn down. So, a very large old building was being torn down to make room for a new skyscraper. Due to the proximity of the building, it could not be imploded and had to be dismantled floor by floor. While working on the 49th floor, the construction workers found a human skeleton in a small closet behind the elevator shaft and decided to call the police. So the police show up and they're like, yes, we'll figure this out. Don't dismantle anything else until we figure this out. So the police removed the body from the building, and everything was put on hold until they found out who the corpse was. A few days went by, and the construction workers were being very impatient because they wanted to go back to work, and they couldn't because they were told no. So they called the police and were like, we were the two guys that found the skeleton in the closet. We want to know who it was. And the policeman goes, it was someone really important. And the man goes, who was it? The police officer goes, it was the hide and seek champion of 1956. So why that is funny is because he found a skeleton in the closet, and it was from 1956. They were playing hide and seek and got stuck there, and apparently was never found. Have any of you seen the episode of Uncle Grandpa where he's playing hide and seek with Tony and he becomes a skeleton that gets mad at him for eternity because he didn't find him? That's kind of what this story is, and it's just super funny. I know it got me laughing the first time I watched it. Okay, rare book. This one is also funny. There was a young boy who loved to read. He would read anything he could get his hands onto, and he went to this store and goes, I want to buy a book. He's like, I have this book. It's the Book of Death. And the boy's all like, how much is that book? And the owner of the store goes, it's $199. So the boy goes home, works, earns up enough money to go buy this book. The guy at the store goes, just don't look at the first page. That's all I ask. So the boy goes home, closes his eyes, and makes sure he gets past the first page before he reads anymore. And he reads the book. It's interesting. He loves it. But a few weeks pass after he reads the book, and he starts thinking, what the heck is on that first page? He opens it, and it said recommended retail was $1.99. Get it? He spent $199 on something that was not very expensive. Okay, let's find one I haven't read. This one's called Stupid Stories. So this is another list of scary things, I guess. We'll click on the one that says free pizza. That one seems funny. Okay. So this is about a group of friends who encounter a strange pizza delivery guy. It was 1983, and a group of close friends were having a sleepover. There were two teenage girls named Sandra and Tina, and one guy named Gary. After Sandra's parents left, the three teens made themselves some snacks and watched a movie together. They were busy chatting until 10 p.m. when they suddenly heard a knock on the door. Sandra was puzzled because she wasn't expecting any more visitors. She got up and answered the door, and standing on the porch was a pizza delivery man. There must be a mistake. We didn't order any pizza. Well, the pizza's free, he said. Shrugging her shoulders, the girl accepted the pizza, shut the door. She brought the pizza inside into the living room, opened the box, and inside she found a half-eaten pizza. Everyone had a few slices, and a few minutes went by. Pizza was gone. Gary stood up and made an excuse to go to the bathroom. A short while later, Sarah and Tina heard a terrifying scream from upstairs. They ran up the hallway just to find Gary tumbling down the stairs. He landed on the floor, motionless. He was stabbed in the back. Sandra ran to the phone to call an ambulance. Tina tried to comfort Gary. It was no use. He was dead. And while Sandra picked up the phone, she was in shock to discover there was no dial tone. Since mobile phones hadn't been invented yet in 83, the girl decided to wait until their parents came home. So Levin came around. There was a knock on the door. She opened it, expecting her parents. Instead, the pizza delivery man was standing there with an air-free pizza. Sandra, being suspicious, shut the door in his face after she took the pizza. When they opened the box, they found only 3/4 of the pizza, and the girls were hungry, so they ate the pizza. Tina swallowed the last slice, and then she keeled over and slammed her face into the ground. Wow. That's a little graphic. I'm skipping over that. At midnight, there was a knock on the door again. Sandra was uneasy as she opened the door. The pizza delivery man was there to hand her an air-free pizza. She found there was one single piece. She raised the slice to her mouth to begin to eat, and she was killed by a coat rack. Late that night, her parents got home to see the house in shambles. Gary at the foot of the stairs, Trina face down on the carpet, and Sandra dead due to the coat rack. The father called the police and examined the crime scene. They found that each body had a business card pinned neatly to their clothes saying Tom's Pizza. Upon further investigation, the police discovered many years ago there had been a fast food restaurant named Tom's Pizza Place that burned down in 1966. All of the employees perished in the blaze. That's actually weird. So the pizza guy was dead, but he was giving them pizza. So when they ate it, they died. That don't make sense, but that's weird. It's not the worst story I've ever read. Let's read one of my those funny, stupid stories. This one's called Ball Pit. A mother took her 3-year-old to a fast food restaurant for lunch. The boy finished quickly and asked his mom to go play in the play area. So, in the restaurant, the little boy went over to a ball pit with a bunch of plastic balls. She watched the boy crawl through and jump up and down the ball pit. He jumped straight into the colorful balls and dove in, and he'd been playing for 10 minutes and then all of a sudden started to cry. The mother rushed over to him and asked him what was wrong, and he had a red mark of what looked like a bite on his bum. So the mother took him to the emergency room, and the doctor said it was a snake bite. Now the mother, confused, doesn't know how this kid got a snake bite on his butt in a ball pit. So mother goes back to the restaurant the next day and goes, "My son was bitten by a snake in your ball pit." The guy looks over and goes, "You should count yourself lucky. It was a shark bite last week." Oh my gosh. One of those. Okay. Well, we'll read one more because that one was... Yeah, this one's called Sleep Tight. Now, I know I've never read this one. Okay. There was an ordinary boy who lived an ordinary life. He spent his days going to school, doing his homework, playing with his friends, reading books, watching TV, sleeping. His father was a doctor, his mother was a librarian, and every night he went to bed, his mother and father would tuck him in and kiss him goodnight. They would switch off the light, and his father would say, "Good night, sleep tight," and the mother would say, "Don't let the bed bugs bite." One morning, when the ordinary boy was laying in bed, something incomprehensible happened. He woke up and suddenly was surrounded by this strange feeling of someone lying next to him. When he opened his eyes, he seemed to be an old man next to him. That's weird. And in fright, the boy used all his strength to push the guest out of his bed. Wondering if it was a dream, the boy peered over the edge of the bed. The man was there, lying there on the floor. He realized the man was dead. That's creepy. There was a horrible smell coming from the corpse. The boy screamed for his parents and then ran into their bedroom, and woke them up. He was crying. He told them what had happened. His parents didn't believe him at first, but the boy ran and dragged the corpse back to their room. They didn't believe their child. I know if I went to my parents and was like, there's a dead person in my room, my parents are going to come check it out. Whether I'm telling the truth or not, they're going to check it out because that's weird. And nobody could explain what had happened. Was it a sick joke? Was someone playing a trick on him? Or more terrifying explanation, was it dark or supernatural? The boy could not find an answer. The next night, his father said, "Good night, I hope you sleep tight." And the mom said, "Try not to let the bed bugs bite." And after that, the boy felt uneasy, but soon fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, he woke up feeling cold and clammy, and he opened his eyes to find himself in the arms of another corpse. Again, he shook his parents awake and told them what happened. His mother and father were at a loss for explaining this. How could a dead body keep getting into your room? It's not possible. Did it get up and walk in there on its own? The boy, wondering if his father's right, if he's going mad. And the boy, dreading the thought of going to sleep after his parents come in and say goodnight, he decides to stay awake in order to figure out what's going on. However, as the night wore and the morning approached, his eyelids grew heavier and heavier and soon was fast asleep and snoring. He woke up the next morning to find yet another corpse. The boy, determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, found a thin black piece of thread and tied it to one end of his bed and tied the other end to the glass on the bottom of his bookshelf, bedroom shelf. During the night, if something touched the thread, the glass would fall off the shelf and the sound of glass would wake him up. So the night went on and the boy trembled. His parents could not seem to calm him down. The father said good night, sleep tight, and the mother said, "I'm sure tonight the bed bugs won't bite." In the middle of the night, the boy was awakened by the sound of glass. He turned over in his bed just in time to see his father struggling to place the corpse under the covers next to him. The boy realized his father had a very sick sense of humor. Now that is just scary. That's not funny. That's creepy. How could you do that to a kid? That's all the stories I have time for. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.